Bring you some business now on the programme. Yuka Roya joins me here on set. Yuka, good morning to you.
Hi, Nadia.
We're going to be starting us off then, taking a look at the business reaction to those yellow vest protests we've been talking about on the programme. And they've really had a serious impact already, haven't they, on the retail sector here?
In the Christmas shopping season, these Saturday's riots in central Paris saw major department stores like the Galeries Lafayette and Printemps evacuate customers and pull their shutters down early. Now, the protests have hit the retail sector at a crucial time of the year, the pre-Christmas shopping season. Across the nation, the number of people going to shopping centres fell by 14% year-on-year on average and up to 19% in some cities, according to CNCC. Supermarkets are hit hard too. The French Federation of Retail and Distribution estimates that sales dropped by as much as 35% at the first weekend of protests and by 20% at the second. They're still assessing the impact of the latest wave of protests, of course, this past Saturday. In a statement, the FCD says that customers, suppliers and employees are all hurt by the movement and says the future of staff and shops are at stake. France's economy minister is due to meet representatives of the sector this Monday in Paris. Turning now to global trade, US President Donald Trump says China has agreed to reduce and remove tariffs on US car exports. The president's tweet coming a day after the US and China agreed to bury the hatchet, at least for now, in their ongoing trade battle. Beijing has not reacted to this tweet yet. Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping sat down for 2.5 hours on Saturday in Argentina during the G20 summit. The US agreed not to raise tariffs further while the two sides tried to find a wider agreement. China agreed to buy more farming products from the US immediately. Washington says that the temporary truce will last for 90 days, 3 months. Beijing, though, has not mentioned any new deadline. Now, the truce in the trade battle between the world's two biggest economies has provided a lift to stock markets. Asian markets all opening the week comfortably in the green. As you can see, Tokyo's Nikkei up 1% just a few minutes ago. Shanghai Composite and Hong Kong's Hang Seng both up more than 2%. Seoul's Kospi also comfortably above the flat line. Now, Chinese shares got an additional boost after a private survey gave a better figure for the country's manufacturing sector. The Caixin Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, for November was 50.2, higher than the official figure released last week. Brexit continues to be high on investors' mind too, ahead of a crucial vote in the UK Parliament. Following the Brexit referendum in 2016, Berlin launched a campaign to lure startups and tech companies from London to the German capital. But so far, many businesses appear to be staying put until the effects of the divorce become clear. Catherine Clifford reports.
Berlin has high hopes for its emerging startup scene. After the Brexit vote, the city launched a campaign to lure small emerging businesses from London. Konstanty Slawowski is one of the startup founders that made the move.
About 3 years ago, when we would reach out to people with regards to opportunities in Berlin, the answer that we got very often was that they're more interested in London. Whereas since the Brexit vote, what we have seen a lot more of is people not being so interested in London. Actually, that has completely dropped off a cliff edge.
In 2017, more than €2 billion was invested in startups in the German capital, an increase by over €1.2 billion. But there's no data yet available about exactly how many companies have decamped there since. Misha Gopal, the founder of FatMap, says Brexit was not the primary reason for his move.
Ultimately, the problem that most startups, our company included, is trying to solve is no more or less relevant because of Brexit. So we go where talent is, and ultimately that means anywhere and everywhere. Brexit presents all sorts of challenges, but actually what the impact is for small companies really isn't clear yet. So
the German capital will have to wait until the aftermath of March 29th to see whether its campaign will bear the fruit intended.
Well, protests and riots have hurt shoppers here in France, but elsewhere, the Christmas shopping season is going into full swing. One iconic toy shop in New York has made a surprising comeback. FAO Schwarz reopened in November after suddenly shutting down 3 years ago. Its new site is in Rockefeller Plaza and it's much smaller than the original store. FAO Schwarz was previously owned by Toys R Us, which liquidated all of its US stores earlier this year. And while the new store is set to be experimental, shoppers are hoping it will stay in Manhattan.
It is about the experience. You don't have the same feeling when you go into this store that you would have sitting in your home online. You don't get to interact with a sales staff that has been, applied for their job going on a stage. You don't have costume characters. You're not able to work with a mechanic to build your own car.
It seems magical and expensive.
And it's in New York City.
Yeah, and it's in New York. It's fancy.
Yeah.
It's fancy.
It's not like
Our toy stores are always magical, aren't they? Especially at Christmas.
It's certainly at Christmas indeed. Yuka, thank you very much. Yuka Roy there with our business update on the programme.